Okay, got the latest one out from Syma, another Syma X8, and I think the X8 was sort of at the beginning of all drones, and certainly they keep developing it and bringing on more and more things. This is a Syma X8, it's the SW and it's -D, and I don't know whether the D stands for the fact that the camera goes up and down, it tilts, and we've got a control on the remote control for that, which is rather nice. Little 720p camera there. It does take a micro SD card, but it doesn't actually come with one. It comes with a card reader, but not with the card itself. You've got a 2-cell battery in there, the sort of standard one now that Syma seem to be doing on the X8. Connects into the quad here and into these ones here, and then we actually charge it through the balance charger port. It does take about 2.5 hours on the stock charger, but I'll show you all that, and I'll finish off with that at the end of the review like I normally do. It's the same design as all the other ones. The props pop on and off, and then the little cones on the top actually hold them so you can't undo them, and also it's a sort of modular system, so you can just pop the legs on and off. They all fit in different places, so you could actually pack it up and walk around with it quite small, and then make it into this large quad, as you can see here, sort of thing. Onto the transmitter itself, and again the normal sort of Syma transmitter. Let me just pop my phone out the way, it might be easier for you to see then. So to bind, and I'll show you that in a second, turn on the quad first of all, turn on the transmitter up and down with the throttle. It's mode 2, which means if I push this, the quad will ascend, that's your throttle. If I pull it down, the quad will descend. If I push it to the right, the quad will rotate to the right. If I push it to the left, quad rotates to the left. This is your direction stick, so the front of the quad is where the camera is pointing. So if we push this forward, the quad will go forwards, backwards, and that's called pitching. Roll to the right and roll to the left, and that's always in the quad's orientation. So if the quad's facing towards you and you pitch forward, it will come straight towards you. There is something on this called headless mode, and when we bind it up, we'll line it all up that way, and then I'll show you how headless mode works. If you it's not working the way you want in headless mode, you can put it down and then calibrate it by pulling these 2 sticks down to the left, and that will recalibrate the headless mode. Apparently I've never done that on any of them. I actually read the instructions. I know, male, I read the instructions, but apparently that's what it says. Headless mode is not something I use, but I just demonstrate it. That's all I do with it. In headless mode, if we bound up this way round, if the quad's around at any angle and I push forward, forward is always away from me, back is towards me, right and left. And as with all the stick inputs, these are not points of the compass, so you can come at angles, and you're constantly adjusting the sticks by gentle amounts, and that gives you a really nice flying experience. So it's not straightforward back, right and left sort of thing. So headless mode, you can actually be rotating the quad and still going in one direction. I just never really found a use for it, but some guys like it, and certainly some people new to flying seem to like it as a way of doing it. You can alter the trims on this. You simply hold down this button here and then you choose how to alter the trims. There's loads of videos out there on altering trims. But what I would do first of all, if the quad is drifting, I've got quite a breezy little day up high in the trees today. It's not down in the garden, but when we go up a bit, it'll probably draw the quad. You can't trim out the breeze, basically. So it has to be a very calm, still day or flying indoors. This thing's a bit of a beast to fly indoors, I would say. What I would do first of all is calibrate it. So put it on somewhere level, both sticks down to the right, bottom right, and then you'll get flashing LEDs, and I'll run through that. We'll actually calibrate it before we take off. To adjust the camera angle, and like I say, this camera actually tilts. You press this one here and it will start tilting downwards, press this one here and it starts pointing upwards. To start your video, you simply press this one here and that will start the video. You get flashing LEDs on it then as well, which is good, so it tells you that it's the video started. You also get flashing LEDs when you're in headless mode as well, and I'll show you all these things when we get up in the air. This takes still photos. Now if you're using the buttons on the transmitter, it only records it back to the micro SD card on board. If you use the app, and I'll show you how we use the app, it will record it on the micro SD card, but you won't get the flashing LEDs, and it also records a video on your phone as well. So a little bit confusing, I think, but that's the way it works. That's quite common as well. If you want to go into headless mode, you simply hold this stick down for about 2 or 3 seconds. It will beep at you that it's going into headless mode, and then, like I say, you see the flashing LEDs. This also changes the rate of the quad, so it starts in low rates always. You press that, it goes into high rates. Press it again, it goes back into low rates. So quick presses changes the speed rate, and long press puts it into headless mode and takes it out of headless mode. We've got a flip button here. We simply press that one and choose what direction we want it to flip in, and it will do a complete 360 flip, and I'll show you that. And then this one here is our auto takeoff and our auto land button, so simply press that and off it goes. You can also start the motors by simply pulling the 2 sticks down and in, and that will put it into tick over, and then you can take off. Or the other way of doing it is just to give it, after you've bound it up and everything, up and down on the throttle, and that will put it into tick over as well. Okay, so I'm going to pop my phone into the phone holder, and this just clips on and off on the back of the transmitter. You also need 4 AA batteries, and that's about the only thing it doesn't come with, to be honest. Oh, and the micro SD card, that's the other thing as well. So you need to download the Syma FPV app. It's quite a simple app, and I'll run through all the features of it as we get up and flying. So with this one, you can actually turn on either. I've tried both, but they do recommend that you turn on the transmitter first of all, and that is a good idea. You get a beep, single beep off the transmitter, and there is a little red LED in there just flashing, which hopefully you might be able to see. Pop on the quad itself, and you get flashing LEDs. If you haven't got a transmitter on, they flash really fast. If you've got a transmitter on, they go into slow pulse, which means they're ready to bind. Up and down with the throttle, and then we get solid LEDs. LEDs on the Symas are quite nice, because you do get the ones on the top, and you get some big ones on the bottom, and you can see them sort of from any angle as well, so they're pretty good, good for orientation. Weird thing is they've got red at the front, green at the back, but hey ho, can't get it all right, can you? So go into your phone settings, and what you need to do is actually find the Wi-Fi hotspot that the Syma will have set up. There we go, it's FPV Wi-Fi, and it'll have some numbers behind it. Go on to that one, and then go back to your home page and launch the app. You will get a warning that there's no internet connection. You don't need any other Wi-Fi around you at all. It's just purely a Wi-Fi hotspot the Syma's set up, and we've just logged onto it, and it doesn't use up any of your data roaming either. But like I say, go on to the actual app itself. Now, this one's actually got a really nice little video, so if you're new to all this, you've got a lovely little sort of intro video there, sort of thing. I won't run it all the way through now, but you can see it is pretty good. And also you've got the help screen as well, which is all in Chinese, and you simply press this one here if you want it in English. It just runs through the basics of, it's a very basic app, but sometimes basic is good with these things. If you are new to flying, I do suggest you don't bother with the FPV and everything, just purely get up and learn to fly, learn to do the controls. That's the way I would do it. So that thing I was saying about binding it for headless mode, so it will automatically be set up like that, but if you wanted to just recalibrate it for headless mode, pull these sticks down and to the left, you get flashing LEDs. And the other way of calibrating it is the gyro, and I'm just going to calibrate that. So again, just pull the sticks down to the right, and you get fast flashing LEDs, and that calibrates the gyro. Now when it's doing that, don't move it or disturb it in any way, form or manner, and it must be set on somewhere level as well when you do it. I'm going to start the video on here this time, so simply press that. You get flashing LEDs like I say, and if I stop that, if I now start it on here, you get the count up on the screen, but you don't get the flashing LEDs there, and it's also recording on the micro SD card and back to here, so it's a bit of 6 of one, half dozen of the other of what you want to do there. So like I say, start the motors up and down, and then it will just go into tick over. There's altitude hold on this, but there's no position holding. God, I just forgot how noisy these things are, and like I say, it's quite a bit of a breeze in the garden, so the altitude hold's just kicking in quite nicely. There we go, that's doing pretty good. Yeah, it's not a very wide angle lens. It never ever seems to be on the Symas for some unknown reason. There they go, the breeze is just catching hold of that. So this is in low rates, and it is really low and lethargic, which is pretty good. But it flies okay. So I'm going to pop it into high rates as we come past. Let's just do that. There we go, so that's in high rates. And it's still not energetic. I'll just do that so you can see it. So that's high rate, and that's low rates. And as you saw, it sort of slows down quite a bit. So this is low rates. I always think low rates is good for videoing. The screen isn't, it looks a bit blocky actually, but it's really for lining up a shot. This is not full on FPV, but it's actually doing pretty well. There we go. Oh, of course I can tilt the camera angle down, can't I? So I'll try and keep it in one position, but that breeze is actually catching it quite a bit now. Well, it's, yeah. Oh, it comes down in click stops. It's not actually sort of smooth sort of thing, which is fine. So I'm going to stop the video on there for a second. I'll just take a shot with here, I think. There we go. And then actually we'll do one. There we go. With that one as well. Yeah, that's fine. I'll start the video actually just on the actual micro SD card. And like I say, there we go. And that's really nice and smooth video. And the controls are nice and proportional as well. So, okay, so I'll show you the headless mode. So I'm going to hold this one down. There we go. So now left is left, back towards me is back towards me, forward away, and it does this annoying beeping noise all the while it's in headless. Oh, sorry, it does stop on this one. Sorry, I played around with that indoors and I thought it didn't. So left is always left, right back towards me and everything. Let's put it up. There we go. There we go. So even though the quad's actually coming to its left, that's backwards as far as it's concerned because we're in headless mode. Like I say, not something I'm a fan of, I must admit. There we go, so I've taken it back out now. Oh, well, let's try those flips, shall we? Whoa! I always think these are a bit of a big beast to be flipping, but they do it. Whoa! So you choose a direction you want it to go and you press the button there and then you just choose whatever direction you like. But gee whiz, that is, yeah, it always looks a bit, whoa, it sort of gives it a bit of altitude and then it has a little bit of a struggle, which I can't really say I blame it for, to be perfectly honest. Let's take that, ooh, I'll do a little range test with it, see how we get on. I know if I go here and get down towards that hedge, it's about 80 metres. And that wind's going to be pretty vicious out in that field. Let's see how we get on with the FPV. That's doing pretty okay. Like I say, the wind is just blowing around today. It doesn't look a lot, but it would affect any sort of quad. Well, yeah, that's doing okay. That's a good, well, that's just on 80. Oh, that's best part of 100 metres now. Oh no, just locking up slightly. I've still got total control over the quad. There's no argument there at all. Yeah, no, that FPV's, yeah, pretty good, I'd say. Nice. Flies are really nice. I mean, they've been doing this for the Syma X8 for so long, and there's so many clones out there on it. It's pretty good, damn good. So I'm going to take it up to point that camera down. Actually, let's stop that on the video. Oh, let me show you those flashing LEDs. So there we go. If I press it on here, you get those flashing LEDs, which is quite nice because you do know it's recording then, which is rather good. I turn that off and then we'll just do it on here and then I can see how long we're doing it for. And we don't get the flashing LEDs now. Let's take it up and then we'll get that camera to point down. That wind's going to be really strong up there. So this will be a little bit of a challenge for me. There we go, point down at the house. Hey, it's quite nice actually. It's nice to be able to adjust it. And also, like I say, the FPV is pretty good as well. So that's pretty much there, I'd say. Oh, we're just going to get clear of those trees and then we'll get a real breeze hitting us there. I'm just going to now point it upwards. Yeah, look at the drift on that now. Yeah, and it does it quite quickly as well. Yeah, it's really pulling it around in the breeze. Oh, you can see it, can't you? I'm hardly putting any stick input in at all. That's really nice. It's quite a narrow field of view. I prefer wider angles, but you could put another camera on this without any problem at all. It really wouldn't be a problem. And then descent, that's on full, got the throttle right off. And it's never they never descend particularly fast, the altitude hold ones. But that's not bad actually, that's pretty good. So to land, you can just bring it in and land, whoops, so we just try and keep it so it doesn't fall over. and just keep your throttle off for a few seconds, and then it will kill the motors. You can also auto take off, auto land as well here. There we go, so it just pumps up, what's that, about a metre and a half I suppose. And you know that's not needing trim, because as I'm rotating the quad it's still going in that direction, so it's just the breeze that's doing that. There's nothing unusual. And then you can auto land, simply press that, you choose the direction, or if you give it some throttle it will cancel it as well. So press that and bring it down, and it will kill the motors automatically. Like I say, we just flip that and it will start the motors. I honestly don't see any sense in the auto takeoff, auto land myself, but that's just me, because you can just do it yourself and then you can go as high as you like, you know, and keep going. Where the auto takeoff, it just does it to a certain level. And also with the auto land as well, it's exactly the same as just pulling it back down. You can also hand catch and hand launch with this thing as well. There we go, and then if you needed to launch, sometimes I'm in a situation where I really can't, I haven't got anywhere on the ground that's got that much clear for the props, and I need to get up, then you know, I find a hand launch pretty good. And all you have to do is just give it some throttle and off it goes. Very nice. And the FPV is pretty good actually. And the flight time seems pretty good as well. The altitude holds good. Nice. Yeah, that's the wind just catching it now. Look at that. Very nice indeed. Yeah, it's doing fine. It's a bit blocky on the actual screen. It's yeah, I don't think the camera's going to be the best in the world, but like I say, easy attach another little camera to it sort of thing, really wouldn't be a problem. Nice. And like I say, we can't adjust it for trim because it's the breeze that's actually taking it that way. But the adjustment for the trim is just simply hold this down here. It's really not going to make any difference to it at all. Now it'll really start to get a move on that way. So you simply hold this one down. There we go, and you get an extra beep when you're back in centre. If you want to cancel the trim settings, hold down the trim stick here, hold this in, and then turn the actual transmitter on, and it cancels them all out. So. I'm doing a little selfie, shall we? I'll just point that camera down. Yeah, that's better. I've forgotten how good these little Symas are. I'm also going to see what we get different quality-wise as well with shooting either way. So I'm assuming that the lights will flash when I actually do that. Yeah, they do. Very good indeed. Yeah, it's very good. Exposure's a bit off, but I mean, you know, you've got no actual camera controls for the exposure or anything. That's quite normal on toy grade ones because it basically comes in toy grade. Or as somebody said, it's entry level. I think that's actually quite a nice term. That is quite cool. I like it. I'll pop the video back on. Let's bring that camera angle up. So actually, I've got a mate who does the inspects the gutters, so this thing would be perfect for it. No problem at all. Just trying to do it on the FPV for a change. That FPV doesn't really get much of a dropout. It's a lot better than a lot. Just the breeze catching it up there as well. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so you could quite easily assess your gutters if you wanted to. So I've got to stop that. We will get flashing LEDs, but no, that's why I was stopping the video, because we will get flashing LEDs when we're low on power. And the problem is the pulse is, I think the pulse is different, but it's quite difficult to see. So I'm going to bring it over in the shade here. Let's see what we can find out. So I think the battery's sort of nearly had it. Yeah, so that's the video started. And there's another thing with the video as well. You've got little LEDs at the back here. Let me just show you those. There we go. So you've got little LEDs flashing at the back here. Hopefully you can see them. If I press that, it will cancel it, and then the red one stops. So when it's recording on the card, little red one's there. And if you don't have a card in, like I say, you can just record straight back onto your phone. We've got flashing LEDs, which means the battery is low. You should really come in and land, but I'm going to actually finish off the review by just seeing how long this thing actually runs for. And this is the first battery through, so when batteries have had about 10 cycles, they do tend to sort of find to be a bit better sort of thing. Oh, there we go. So I'm touching nothing here, and that literally just killed it. The other thing you notice there is when it actually touched down, if the motor comes in contact with anything like that, it will stop anyway. So it won't, it shouldn't really damage anything. So that was a good little flight. I've forgotten how good these little Symas are. Okay, I'm actually going to stand here, so I'm just going to give you an idea of where I'm going to be stood. I'm going to fly some FPV, see whether it does work. There really isn't a lot of lag in it. It's not perfect, but I'm thinking if I can go out round there, I won't be able to see it, but I should be picking up signal. By the way, this here is what signal strength you've got, so I'm just going to see how we get on. What's the worst that could happen? Fair play. And obviously I do know my garden pretty well, but I am actually concentrating on looking down at the screen. That's why I've put the head cam on, so you can actually see I'm genuinely flying this FPV. Yeah, it's really difficult to pick out that tree. We managed to get around it, so that's good. I'm totally FPV now. That is way out of I couldn't see it there even if I wanted to be honest. There we go. Yeah, so it's sort of flyable. Whoops, I did wuss out there just for the last second, but no, it is sort of flyable. I'm really looking at the screen now, sort of thing. It's no problem at all. That is not bad. I mean, you know, for what it is, it's one of the better Wi-Fi FPVs I've had, I must admit. Okay, so that's me all done. Well, I'm going to run some footage so you can see me playing around with it in the garden. And this would be a great night fly, really superb with these LEDs on. Yeah, no problem at all. And like I say, a little bit big for indoors, I would say, for indoor flying. If you did want to fly indoors or you're brand new to flying, may I suggest you pop the prop guards on. They're really simple. You just simply pop them into there and that holds them in position. And obviously your prop then runs around inside. They're really good protectors on these. And you simply push that up and then you just pull them back out again. I've popped the prop off so I can actually show you how you actually fit it, and you get a little spanner with it as well. It's clearly marked what orientation they go in, and these are marked A and B on the props as well. So you just simply hold that in there, it just stops it rotating, that's all it does. Come down into there and then you just push the prop down and then rotate it round and it sort of pops back up and then it's locked in position. You don't actually need these, I don't think, but they are quite handy. If you do pop that in there, you might be able to see that. It then actually stops this moving at all, sort of thing. So that simply goes in there and then you're all ready to fly. You pop the legs off as I showed earlier. Really, for stripping it down, for transporting it, removing the props is a little bit of a pain, to be honest. I just sort of get used to transporting it like that, personally. But some people do like to strip them all down and build them all back up every single time. You also get a micro SD card reader, which is USB there, goes into your computer and you put it into there. But like I say, you don't actually get the micro SD card. You get a bright orange little Phillips screwdriver, which you could basically strip the whole quad down with if you wanted to. There's a lot of screws to undo if you do. When you get in, it's not actually that complicated inside, so not a problem at all. And as far as I can see, it's metal gears on this one, which is certainly metal gears on this bit here off the motor, so yeah, rather good, and they've done really well. I had no issues with them whatsoever. The battery, I don't think I mentioned it, it's a 2000 milliamp hour and it's a 2-cell, and you charge it. Here's the charger for it. So you just get a plug for whatever country you're in and it charges through the balance charger port there. Does take over 2 hours to do, but that's quite normal. But these ones now put out at 1200 milliamp hour. I think they used to be less than that, from memory anyway. So a couple of hours just to charge it up, which is pretty good. And the nice thing is you can leave the battery in all the time. You don't have to keep popping it out or anything, because you can turn it on and off there, so it's not going to go live until you press that. You get a spare set of props with it, and now Syma actually give you a little bit of foam that actually holds them together, because anyone who knows about unpacking a Syma X8 box, as soon as you opened it up, all the props fell out everywhere, so now they've sort of sorted that, which is rather good. Transmitter worked really well, range was really good, and the FPV I thought was absolutely excellent for what it is. You know, I've had a lot worse, far more expensive ones than this, I can assure you, and a lot of them you actually can't fly FPV, or not even near, so this actually did rather well, I think. I was getting 13-minute flight times, and I've done that consistently, and I'm now up to 8 batteries through it, and it basically that sort of thing. And you've seen our fly sort of, you know, hare it around quite a bit as well, and it's been, you know, well over 12, but mostly sort of 13 minutes, which I think is absolutely amazing. So really good fun. If it's something that you're interested in and you're new to flying, it could well be a good one. If you've experienced pilot and you wanted to put a better camera on there, I'll put a link down in description to a video I've done where I pop an extra camera on a Syma X8, because you know, there's loads of mods you can do with these things, and it's nice and powerful to sort of lift that sort of thing. So hope you've enjoyed the review. I've certainly enjoyed having you on the flight, and I've certainly enjoyed another Syma. I'll see you on the next one.